Hello everyone and welcome back to Deciphering Weather. In today's video, Hurricane Helene is almost a Category 4 before making landfall at the Big Bend area of Florida, and we are watching a storm behind it possibly developing in the same area, the Western Caribbean, and then moving into the Gulf of Mexico. If you like detailed weather breakdowns, hit the subscribe button and notification bell to get all of my upcoming videos. So we're looking at the latest satellite image of the Atlantic Basin thanks to tropicaltidbits.com for Thursday, September 25th, 2024. The black arrow is Hurricane Helene moving into the Big Bend area of Florida within the next couple of hours and bringing devastating impacts to the region. We have our pink arrow, which is Tropical Storm Isaac, formerly Invest 99L, had a low chance of development and then rapidly developed into a tropical system, skipping over subtropical completely from a non-tropical low. We have our red arrow, which is a tropical wave, which is the entity that could become our next tropical storm or hurricane, developing in the Western Caribbean and moving into the Gulf of Mexico next week. Purple is 98L, up to a 90% chance of becoming our next system. And then behind it, we have our tropical wave in blue, which could develop as well, but not according to the National Hurricane Center just yet. So here's the vorticity, the energy and spin in the atmosphere of our tropical entities highlighted by our red boxes that we were just tracking on our satellite image, along with Hurricane John over in the Eastern Pacific Basin, a hurricane once more, still bringing impacts to the Mexican coastline. So here we have our close-up view of Hurricane Helene, now a Category 3, knocking on the door of Category 4 status. It's developing that ominous-looking eye, which makes all hurricanes look spectacularly beautiful in a shocking, scary way. We have, like I said, winds of 125 miles per hour moving north-northeast at 23. So that is the only saving grace. It's moving quick. So hopefully it gets out of here quick too before, unfortunately, stalling up in the Mississippi, Ohio River Valley in Kentucky before doing a 360 and then going back out towards the eastern coast of the United States next week. So because of that, we're going to see a ton of rainfall from this system as it goes up into the interior of the United States, especially up near the southern Appalachian Mountains. National Weather Service posted a post earlier today saying 15 to 20 inches of rain. They've scaled it back a little bit, but I still think that is a possibility because of the orographic lift of all this moisture coming up from the Gulf of Mexico. You have the mountains squeezing out even more moisture, and then it stalls over the Mississippi, Ohio River Valley, and that's going to continue just conveyor belting these thunderstorms up into the region. So even though it's only in red, which is saying 12 to 16 inches, we could see 15 to 20 inches possibility as well. So that's why we have that pink highlighted region on the right of your screen for the high chance for flooding. And then on top of that, with impacts tonight, we're going to have 15 to 20 foot storm surge in the Big Bend area of Florida. So here's the key messages regarding Helene. We have on the left is in English, on the right is in Spanish. You can pause this to take a chance to read it. Here is former Invest 99L, now Tropical Storm Isaac, forecasted to become our next hurricane, but not a threat to any land. It's going to continue moving in an east-northeast direction eventually into the North Atlantic before going extratropical and then beyond that towards Europe. Here's 98L, up to a 90% chance of developing over the next 7 days, as well as over the next 2 days. It's forecasted to go into a northwest direction and then, depending on how strong it gets, caught up into the westerlies and then pulled back up into the North Atlantic. So it's going to be one of our fish storms, potentially our next tropical storm, maybe a hurricane at the top end. And then the big thing we have to worry about is our tropical wave that's moving through the Caribbean islands as we speak. It's very slow moving. It's been sitting here for a couple of days now, but eventually it will move its way westward into the Western Caribbean, where it's got a 20% chance of developing over the next 7 days now, according to the National Hurricane Center. So let's use the GFS model to see how that could happen. Black hexagon is Helene. Red is our new tropical disturbance that we're tracking. Pink is Isaac, purple 98L, and blue is our tropical wave behind 98L. Upper level environment is still conducive for Helene, to still intensify before making landfall with the Big Bend area of Florida, thanks to that upper level ridge overhead. And then we have one over 98L, so that should allow it to develop at least into a tropical storm before going out to sea. And then we have the upper level trough, giving that unique outflow for tropical storm Isaac out in the middle of the Atlantic. Here's the wind shear. As you can see, a ton of it coming off of Helene, keeping the Caribbean from developing anything at the moment, but that will change in the next couple of days. We have a ton of moisture pulling up, thanks to Helene, from the tropics into the southeast United States, so that's why we're going to see a ton of flooding in the region. So now we get to 2 days from now, on Saturday, September 28th, our tropical wave is finally starting to move. It's south of Hispaniola at this point. Helene is, like I said, stalling out in the Mississippi River Valley and Ohio River Valley over Kentucky, but it's going to have that counterclockwise flow, so it's going to pull all that moisture still up into Florida and the southeast United States. Isaac potentially is a hurricane at this point, and 98L should be our next named storm after that. And then we have two tropical waves behind that in blue and orange coming off the coast of Africa. So 98L will have its upper level ridge, allowing it to continue to develop into a tropical storm. And we see that our red tropical wave is underneath the upper level ridge that supplied the rapid intensification to Helene. So that's going to increase the wind shear temporarily in the Caribbean, keeping it from developing initially. Still going to have a ton of moisture with it. And then by the time we start getting it into the southern Caribbean, that's when this will be on 5 days from now, on Tuesday, October 1st. We're going to see a new upper level ridge forming just to its north and west. That's going to provide that perfect environment that those hurricanes need to develop and rapidly intensify. Wind shear will decrease, and it's going to draw up all the moisture from the Central American gyre and South America, and it's going to take, again, some time for this to coalesce. So then by the time we get to 7 days from now, a week, we're going to see this storm pretty much exactly where Helene was just 2 days ago on Thursday, October 7th. And we're going to have a potential tropical storm forming just east of the Yucatan Peninsula, moving towards the Gulf of Mexico. It will have its upper level ridge overhead, so that's going to keep that wind shear down. It's going to have a lot of moisture with it. You can see we have another storm out in the middle of the main development region in orange, that tropical wave coming off the coast of Africa after our blue one. It too could develop into a storm. We also see the remnants of Helene coming off the coast of Africa, the United States, and potentially developing into a nor'easter, its remnants at least, and going out into the middle of the Atlantic. And then 10 days from now, you can see that this tropical storm potentially developing in the Western Caribbean, depending on the steering currents, could still be in the Gulf of Mexico, depending on where that wants to go. So one possibility, it just sits in the Gulf of Mexico for a couple of days, and this is what that is showing on the GFS. If we look at the European model, we see something similar, just not as strong. So here's the ensemble models going out 7 days, where our systems could go over the next 7. Red obviously is our tropical wave forming in the Western Caribbean, and then could go into Central America, could go to the Gulf of Mexico. It's still too early to tell. So Helene will be bringing devastating impacts to Florida later on tonight, and then bringing a ton of flooding to the southeast U.S. into the Ohio Valley as it stalls out over the next couple of days. Our tropical wave We'll monitor for deja vu development of this one behind Helene, Isaac becoming our next hurricane, 98L our next named storm, and then our tropical waves behind that. So if our next named storm from 98L will be Joyce, and then our other disturbance that we're watching that's going to be moving to the Western Caribbean potentially could be Kirk. As a reminder, we have super thanks available on Deciphering Weather. I'd like to give a shout out to Corn12737 for donating to yesterday's channel. So thank you very much. And if you'd like to donate to the channel, please go down to the heart button where it says thanks. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit the like button and leave a comment. Please share this video with your family and friends on social media. And if you're new and like detailed with the breakdowns, hit the subscribe button and notification bell to get all of my upcoming videos. Thank you and have a great day. Be safe.